website.
I think we're streaming, bro. I
All
think
right,
this
cool.
worked. I think
All
we're
right.
in. We're officially a live NFT art talk, dude. Welcome,
Well, we've been
welcome.
working. All is
Yeah.
good.
Well, we'll just chill here for a minute in case anyone wants to join. You got your computer up? Can you
Yeah. I'm gonna- Yeah, that's it. It's working.
Nice, dude. You want to tweet that link out or while Karthik's tweeting the link out and letting people come on in here and join. Love to start out with a little bit of who we are. Welcome to our first official live stream. Welcome to NFT Art Talk. You can join us live daily, Monday through Friday, for a new way to experience the NFT art scene. We'll be talking about what we are doing, the art and artists that inspire us, and hot topics related to NFTs, art, music, fashion, and culture. Our primary focus is to have some fun with you guys, meet some new people who are interested in NFTs and music and technology. The community around NFTs is growing fast, and we welcome all to come on in, experiment with us, explore, learn, have a good time. Welcome to our community of acceptance and celebration. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay in touch, and you can always follow us on Twitter, where we host space daily. All of our links are in our bios, underneath this video right here, in the description for today's show. You can definitely find us. We are really excited to be in touch with everyone. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what's on our mind related to music, technology, and community. And I'll tell you what, too, sneak peek, if you stick around, we're going to announce a really awesome giveaway that we're doing for our subscribers here on YouTube. So before we get started, make sure to smash that like button down there, hit subscribe, push the little bell and get some notifications. And without further ado, my co-host here, Karthik NFTs.
Hey, what up, Moshe? Good to see you again on February 24th, this afternoon, our time. Yeah, man, I guess today we're just going to kind of talk about a couple of our experiences we've had just roaming around Twitter spaces and connecting with people in the NFT arena and just kind of go from there, man. I don't know if you wanted to talk about one of your experiences first, or you want me to kind of go ahead and kind of explain some new thoughts I had about distributing music, actually.
I think we should start with the distribution of music, and because it kind of ties into the technology, and then we'll wrap it up with a little bit about some experiences we've had in the community recently, and like I said, a special giveaway from us to give to our supporters in our own community. So I think you should kick it off, man. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, so yesterday I was actually in a space. We are all jamming out music, and was playing one of my tracks. Most of my tracks are instrumental. This was like a new one I made a couple days ago. And I was just jamming it out. We had a couple freestylers, a couple rappers in the room, and they dug the track and then heard a couple freestyles back. And it made me start thinking like, okay, how would I distribute this now using the blockchain and knowing that each artist can have their own royalty rights to each track. So I was actually talking to Moshe, and he was talking about trying to collaborate with somebody on a track where they freestyle. I was like, hey man, what we could actually do is possibly have that instrumental track tied to Moshe's, gallery, and then the person that freestyles on the track, they can have that acapella actually tied to their gallery, right, as like their own NFTs for their contribution to the art. And then also you have a combined one where you have the total track with the freestyle, and the instrumental can be minted on the blockchain and sent out as a collaborative track like that. And that way, each artist owns their rights to the original track or sound they created, and with the blockchain you can kind of tie that back and you can still distribute that out as new types of like beat samples. Basically, it's kind of a new way to release it. We have sample markets here now where you just release the tracks, but now you can even dive further and say, hey, this is the person that made the bass, this is the person that made the keys on the track or sang on the track, and it further defines those publishing rights basically in this new type of space for each artist.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about this before we came on, you know, I think my mind was just running in applications for this. Like, I mean, what a cool way, because I'm thinking about like, this is probably, I don't even know how many years down the road it is, right? But you think about DJs in clubs, right? And they're using acapellas and beats together and mashing different types of beat together. And if you know, just the application of that as like manifesting into this whole concept of transparency just in crypto in general, I mean, the application of that is endless, right? And not just like being able to like use certain things as utilities or content that you get when you buy an NFT or something like that, but also in the ability just to, you know, say, well, this piece was mine and I created it, and this piece was yours and you created it, and then we put them together, and how are we going to distinguish that, right? And so for me in music, I've always been defaulting to, oh, it comes down to the smart contract, right? How much better than the way it's been done in music forever, you know? Like, I was telling Karthik, like, I remember one of my like early mentors in the music industry was an attorney for a really popular rapper who was doing really awesome in Texas. And he was telling me about these contracts that had like 30 people in it. You know, like you got, because like the beat had certain sections that were sampled from this, and then this person played that, and that person played that. Then you had like backing choir on it. Plus there were like the writers who wrote it, and then the people who, some writers wrote some of it, some writers wrote other parts, then the rapper and all the people that he wants to have cred on it. And by the time it's done, the attorney has spent like 20 hours on one song. You know what I mean? Just like writing this. And now what we're seeing, you know, with everything that you see in crypto with smart contracts and DAOs and all these different ways of like automatically distributing these royalties essentially, you know, I think that's where my mind went, right? Until Karthik's like, well, dude, what if each one of those was their own specific NFT and the collaboration was like all the NFTs coming together, you know? And like, what does that mean to it? Because then each NFT has its own smart contract. Does that mean what do you think? Does that mean there's now going to be, it's going to go from like 20 to like 100, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, barring the gas fees and all that going on with Ethereum right now, it's like, that's the way it should be, right? Because if you would just look at it from like an artistic standpoint, we're like, hey, the artist, you know, wrote that piece. And now we do have like a counting system when you look at the blockchain and Ethereum and stuff like that, where, hey, now you could be accredited for that forever almost now. And you could now have that NFT go out there, kind of how you see the sampling market now. And it was just kind of like, the way I came to it is basically, United Masters is one of the distributors I have, independent distributors I have for streaming my music around the world. And they had a competition for tracks to be submitted to NBA. And I got an email back today and they say, hey, we're going to try to pitch it and stuff. And they're like, please fill out this Google form. I went through the whole Google form. I was like, man, it had, you know, who was the writer, who was the owner, who was the publisher, you know, and it could go up to like 4 or 5 people. And just started making me think in my mind, it's like, man, if this was just running on blockchain right now, you could just have like, yeah, exactly how we said that each person that was writing each portion of that song, it would already be locked into that system, so that you wouldn't have to fill out this form like hundreds of times to be like, yo, these are the people who own it. It almost transitions that system into a flawless way that you could pitch the stuff out there knowing that everybody's like, hey, we're cool with what we're contributing to this. We know what kind of royalty structure we want out of it. And I don't know, I just thought that was a cool way, and that it's actually possible to do that now, right?
Right, and there's multiple applications of it. I think that's kind of what we're coming to right now. Is it's like that's it's just, again, I feel like this is our third episode, and we've been like, I feel like every episode we come back to like, this is just it's just the future. There's so many opportunities, so many ways for people to get creative and make sure that artists are taken care of. Because that's another thing that just popped into my mind with this too, is it's like, is it within this sort of transformation, is this how, the artists who are creating these 10K collections and then passing them off to someone who's then like putting a whole team around them and selling them and making millions of dollars, right? And the artist is forgotten in the background. Like, oh yeah, I just paid them on Fiverr, or I met them in some NFT crypto group that, everyone's using this artist. And honestly, like, this is a bit of a off the side, but that's why this is what's on our minds episode, because we can go wherever we want with it. The point of it is it, like, these guys, first the artists have to know, stop doing that. Like, you're better than that, dude, and understand this industry, because like, you can go say, no, put me in a smart contract, or make a smart contract, or even, I know we're going to talk about it later, you can find platforms to help you do that, and if not, you can also, there's so many ways you can do it. Give me X number of the NFTs so that I can mint them myself, or mint them for me so I don't have to pay the gas fees either. Like, do something, but like, I'm a big proponent of that. Regardless of where you get your art from, you should be contacting those artists if you plan to go, make all this money off of it, and getting them involved in it. And maybe it is saying, hey, this is your NFT, and I'm going to duplicate it by adding these different layers to it. You know what I mean? And this is how we're going to do it. I would honestly be very interested to know how some of these people are doing this already, because you already have collaborative collections, where like a bunch of different artists are coming together. Each artist is building one of the, however many layers you need, or they're taking like colors from one artist, or, and how are they paying out all the artists? I mean, I would love to know more about that, the real application, because obviously we're onto something here with what we're talking about. So.
Right. Yeah. Because my assumption, and I know in how I've worked in real world and corporate world and all that in the past and stuff, that I've left far behind now, is that they normally pay these artists, flat fees, right? And then they say like, we'd own all this stuff, but this whole crypto NFT culture is just like, we want the artist to actually own the rights to it. Like, that's kind of like why we made this type of system. So it's just fascinating. It's there. So anyways, like what that led me down the road of was like, okay, we look at OpenSea. And how OpenSea does is like, they wait till you sell your NFT and then they mint it on the blockchain, and it comes out of the sales price when the buyer buys it. But that means when you're listing it on that platform, it's not minted on there. The pros to that is that the artist is not spending that much money on the gas fees, right? But the con is like, you don't know if it's actually on the blockchain yet. Your data is not exactly tied to it yet. And that's why you might see a lot of bootlegging go on these sites, because if you know the way of how to actually mint it on the physical blockchain when you create it at inception, then it'll be recognized like in OpenSea and Rarible that like, hey, you are the official artist who actually did this. And then I'm just saying this aside, like one of the platforms I came across while I was researching it, I got to go a little bit more in depth.
Karthik, can you explain that to me a little bit more before we get into this platform? Because the platform's awesome, but like what you said that's pretty impactful, right? And I know we've talked about it a little, but I almost want you to like kind of repeat it for me. Like,
okay,
you go.
Okay, so if I'm an artist, right, and I'm like, okay, I got my new piece, and let me use OpenSea as this example, because like, hey, I might not have that much money, but I can go put it on there and wait till buyer gets it. So what's happening is like, okay, I go up there and I upload all my stuff, and then they have their own system that says like, okay, this image, GIF, JPEG, movie file or audio file is tied to it, and how we're going to sell it is depending on when we get the money in, right? OpenSea gets the money in, right? Well, now you're kind of centralizing like your actual good to that consumer, which blockchain wasn't really meant to be like that. You're supposed to be going direct and then it hits your wallet, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen in that whole process where I think you might see some of these hacks and all these things because it's not technically on the blockchain. It's in like an intermediary system where, you know, you're looking at it in like kind of Web 2.0 format along with Web 3.0. So what that means is like you're just looking at it. You don't know if it's actually on the blockchain yet, right? So what happens is other people can go upload other stuff on there and you can never tell like, hey, how am I the originator, right? So the way you become the originator of that is you have to go through these other affiliate services or you write your own smart contract, right? Which sometimes you need to know programmer or you can watch a couple of YouTube videos and figure that out, right? But that's the only way. If you only go through this process where you write your own smart contract for that upload of that, you know, song or that collectible or whatever, that's the only way you could actually say, hey, me as this person or this entity or this artist, I actually authenticate this initial mint of this and I actually put it out there to the world, right? And that's the only way you could truly verify that actually came from you. And that's what you're going to see is coming in the future. And you already have these collectives, like you're saying, that drop these like, you know, 8,000, 10,000 pre-mint whitelist. So they're doing it this way. But the whole thing is, you know, as an artist, you're like, how do I do that? Like I've spent my whole life doing art. I don't know how to program. So now you're having some of these affiliate partner programs where like they're trying to make a cleaner interface where it's just like, here, log in, put your wallet in there. And then when you go through this interface, you basically have to create like a token name, ASCII2 kind of text code, which is just like, think of that as like text, like your logo and text, right? It's just like an identifier for the authentication, right? You go create these initial things. And once you do that, that's locked on the blockchain. And it says like, okay, now you can mint on here with this like signature. Think of it as like a digital signature, right? And with that digital signature, now anytime you want to like mint and send a collectible through a marketplace, you're able to do that. Or you could even airdrop it, right? Because that goes into the next thing, like how do we bundle NFTs, right? So that like, at least for music, it's like I have a music video, but like, hey, maybe I want to airdrop this fan of mine, like the song that goes with the music video, right? How do I do that? You can do that through OpenSea, but it's still this intermediary program, right? But me as an artist, like I want to be directly giving it to that fan that bought that NFT. I want to airdrop them a song, right? So this is the way I would actually do it to authenticate it. So that consumer, that fan will be like, this is the actual one. I'm not getting like some fake one. I don't know where it came from. Like, cause you could actually go looking back in the system, like it came from this entity's digital signature.
Okay, I think I got it, but I'm going to repeat myself and
right, go for it.
I'm going to try to repeat you with the possibility of sounding incredibly dumb. Well, I hate to use that word, just whatever. So basically, when I upload my art / music piece, my NFT music piece to OpenSea, right? And then it's kind of sitting in this Web 2 version where people can see it and bid on it and make offers and all of this until I either mint it for sale or I transfer it to somebody else and they mint it for sale. At what point, when that transaction occurs, it's on the blockchain at that point, right? But that typically to do that, it's going to cost you some sort of gas fee. Right.
So, to range. Yeah.
But do you know, and if you don't know, we can follow up in another episode because again, this is a place where we're all learning together. So, can I send you an NFT right now on OpenSea? Like, could I use your wallet and just like address and like send you one? Like, hey, if you're on OpenSea, I'm on OpenSea. I have this one. I haven't minted for sale yet. It's just sitting in my wallet on, my MetaMask or whatever. And then I can just transfer it to you, and then you can mint it.
Yeah, what I've seen on OpenSea, I've just seen a couple of videos on it, right? Because this is the next process I was kind of investigating. Hey, how do I give away, right? A couple of the videos I've seen was like I believe you set the sale as a private sale, and then you find the person you're trying to sell it to, right? And get their wallet information, all that. And then at that point, I think you could either decide like, they're paying the gas fee or you're paying the gas fee, right? So that's like one intermediary way you could airdrop, to the person you're trying to give that asset to, right? So I was going to try it on Polygon or Ethereum, but I wanted to figure out this, like, I guess more authentic, correct way to do it actually, right? Because if I do it through OpenSea, that's just a temporary fix, right? Like, I want to figure out how to do it so that I could keep doing it forever and say my collections go up. I know how to do it correctly, because that's what we're seeing with these big collections that are going on sale. They're doing it like that so that the whitelist and all that happens correctly, and it's not just all messed up with inauthenticated and bootleg and scam kind of information.
Right. And yeah, I did not mean to like go off topic on like how to do this. I mean, honestly, I just took a note in our show notes. Like, I think we should do a whole giveaways episode. Like, why to do giveaways,
Right.
How to let us do just a little bit more research. And honestly, we're going to give stuff away. Before we dive into this technology that Karthik found that we wanted to mention that we're exploring with, we haven't really used it, but it just seems cool. It's an example of what Karthik's talk about. It seems like a good time to talk about our giveaway, because we're going to give some stuff away to everyone that subscribes. Well, actually, the first 10 people that subscribe and leave a comment below with their Twitter handle in it, we're going to give away 10 music tracks that Karthik and I wrote, original tracks. We're going to send them to you. I don't know that it'll be on the blockchain quite yet, because at this point it may just be, we'll send you a DM and we'll talk about the best way to get it to you. But more importantly, we need to talk to you a little bit before we give you the track, so we can get to know you, so we know what kind of track you might like. Karthik and I, between us and our band, probably have close to 500 tracks sitting on various hard drives and in the cloud and even in Web3 now. And we are realizing, like, this is what we have to give to people who are interested. And for your support of the subscribe and leaving a comment with your Twitter handle, the first 10 people we will hit you up and get you a track. And we really appreciate your support. So thank you so much for that. That's just the beginning of giveaways on our channel. But let's get back into this where we were here. Let's keep on talking about this technology. So now I've decided, you know what? I want to mint my stuff directly to the blockchain, right? That's kind of where I'm going. And I want to be able to airdrop it to people, and I don't want to have to worry about putting it on OpenSea and playing their like game of like, when do they really even put it on the blockchain? Do they ever even put it on the blockchain, or is it just a transaction like Karthik was saying? That's what it sounds like. We've talked to a couple people in Spaces about this also. Like, it may never even get its way to the blockchain, which is kind of the benefit of the whole thing. So the foolproof way of doing that with scale, as Karthik said, is either finding the technological partners that can help you program that yourself, or looking for what's out there now. Karthik started researching this last night. I'm going to pass it to you to share with kind of what you found so far. And again, tune in with us every single day, and you'll learn as we learn when we find new things we're using. And I'll pass it to you. I'll stop jet blabbering.
Yeah, so the one I just came across because I was listening to Twitter Spaces, and I was like, all right, let me go check this out, was one called Manifold. And I just kind of briefly went through the website, and it was like I said, you basically go in there, you set up your account, you're able to write your contract on what they call ERC 721, right? I think these are ones for more NFT related transactions. I think they have other formats of that, like the meme tokens we hear of and stuff, but the ERC 721 is the one for the NFTs. But you basically set up this contract with like a token symbol and an ASCII2 code text, which is kind of like you put an image in there and it turns into text, and then those things are like time stamped on the blockchain as your authenticated items, right? Or your authenticated digital signature. And it seemed like it had a pretty easy interface. You kind of enter these details in there, and then you're able to like easily upload a GIF, JPEG, or audio or video file, and you're able to put a description on it. And the next step out of that is just you're paying the gas fees to actually mint it on the blockchain. And it looks like once you do that, then you're able to see it on OpenSea and Rarible, and then you're able to set a sales price for it because your wallet's connected to it, and it says like, hey, you have these items on your blockchain wallet is created, where do you want to sell it within this Ethereum network on any open marketplace, right? And it seemed like a pretty easy interface. Like I said, I'm going to go through it a little bit more, kind of investigate it. I just want to get a little bit more Ethereum in there to deal with the gas fees and stuff. But this is like, seems like the proper way, at least how they're showing how to do it, right? Like I said, there's going to be multiple platforms to do it. You can probably find programmers that could do it as well. It's just like, this was an easy way to look at it, to find out, like, if I had no idea, like, what are the components of that authentication, right? And they're just like, they easily put it in like a page, like, okay, these are the 4 or 5 components you need, right? And it's like, okay, now I know I need those 4 or 5 components. Basically have a digital signature that authenticates any release ID, right? So it was a kind of cool way to kind of like see, okay, this is how I would begin to give giveaways that I could airdrop. And they talked about in a couple of these videos, they're going to try to work on some like bulk uploading and bulk distribution of airdrops. So, that just helps because you're able to get a big airdrop list. Like, how do I do that? Right now, obviously it's 1-to-1 when we're not dealing with that many, that big of a fan base or consumer base. But when it gets big like that, those are the things that artists are going to have to think about. Like, how do I airdrop 1,000? How do I airdrop 10,000? Because I know music artists, it could range from, you have 5 fans to millions of fans. So how do you scale that out to appropriately accommodate all those fans? That's kind of like how I was looking at it. You look at it from like a beginning level, and then, okay, if I'm able to get this to a bigger level, how do I execute on that? And still knowing I own all rights. And the cool thing about this also is, like, you get to set your royalty rate, right? So if I go to OpenSea, I could only do, I think, up to 10%, right? But say, as the whole asset class of crypto evolves, what happens if, like, instead of 10% that artists are getting royalties, maybe they want 50% of sales because their artwork is that highly valued, right? Or 95% or 80%, right? To give that option, that's very important, right? Because I'm limited in OpenSea right now.
Right. And I mean, first, thank you for doing that. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm excited to see. I know both of us will probably be trying it out or trying it out together, however that works. And we will mention it in future episodes for sure. So definitely tune in, guys. But also, it does sound like, it sounds like it's a necessary tool. You know what I mean? And because you love to see that evolution, honestly, because, people need it and it's there. Right. And honestly, OpenSea, you can go whichever side of the pool you want to go for OpenSea, but other marketplaces are going to be there to do this work. And artists need to have tools that aren't necessarily tied into one marketplace, that are more about, freeing themselves from those places to do the things that they want to do. Right. Because that's the thing, is like, we're artists. We actually want to give things away. Like, I want to give things to my supporters in a secure manner, and I want it to have the digital footprint. I don't want to only be able to email you a Dropbox link to get my track. Like, first of all, that's not secure, and second of all, I have no clue what you're going to do with that forever and ever. And I might want to know, right? So I think, it makes sense why these teams are coming together to build these tools to empower the artists in this space. Especially when you really dive into this community and what's happening,
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's starting off with Ethereum, but as an artist, you're gonna maybe want your stuff on Cardano. If other cryptocurrencies come out with their own NFT ecosystems, you're gonna want to know how to do that as an artist, so that you're independently distributing it that way, right? Mm-hmm. I'll give one last kind of analogy, right? It's like, as an artist, as a musician, you're like, okay, I own the publishing and I'll stream my stuff through Spotify. So that's how you got to think about this, right? Like, if I own the NFT, I got to release it. So like, being able to mint it on the blockchain, that's like you owning your own publishing, right? And then OpenSea is like your streamer. So look at it akin like that. So you're always going to be, as an artist, I want to own my own stuff to be able to stream it to any platform, right? Well, this is the way to look at it for NFTs, right? Because it's like, well, I want to own it like this, so I can put it on Ethereum. Like, and if Cardano becomes bigger, I want to make sure my NFTs on there. So you want to know how that works in that whole structure. So you're actually owning this stuff, and you're not thinking like, oh yeah, I do own this stuff, and then one day you find out, wait, someone half across the world jacked my stuff, and they're marketing it out, and because I didn't educate myself. Like, this is how you have to properly do it.
Right, and it's not even saying like I don't think we're even saying like I don't want that person on the other side of the world to take this track and do that. I think what we're saying is like I want them to do that within this ecosystem of transparency, and also not just because like I want to come hunt them down for royalties either, because like I want to know, I want to collaborate, I want to talk to you, I want to get you more stuff. Like if you're that interested in DJ Fetus or any project that we're a part of, regardless of the size of the project, honestly, you know, and you want to help us, I want to make sure you have everything you need. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to hide and be like, oh, you know, like I was thinking about that because I saw that recently I was in a space where unfortunately someone was talking about how their entire collection just got jacked. Like somebody just went in and screenshotted it and changed like 2 letters of the name and put it up for sale the same day that they were doing their public mint, so that people just got completely bamboozled, you know? And it's just like, dude, if you want to go that far out of your way to do this, why don't you just come talk to us, dude? You know what I mean? Like, we can probably work out a deal. Like, I'll help you get paid. You know what I mean? Like, if you like what you see here on this page so much that you're going to go and JPEG each one, or screenshot each JPEG or whatever it is, right? And then go make your own collection and do all this, you know, it's just like, come, let's work together, you know?
Yeah, it's like unnecessary work, because it's just like, yo, if I inspired you on this, let's just work together, because obviously that person that doesn't know that kind of stuff, right, you could maybe help them understand that tech kind of level, and then create a long-term relationship with that person, right, or that artist, because they're like, wow, this person helped me, we both made, you know, money together, or we grew the collection together, right?
That's what I'm saying.
And it's all collaborative, right? Like this whole ecosystem is collaborative. That's what's really going on here. It's just like, how do we dissect it down to those foundational elements where it's like, it makes it easy for everyone to collaborate with everyone on an authentic kind of level.
Yeah, and I think like, honestly, this is a great lead in to kind of like our last what's on our mind topic, which is community, you know, because I actually have a great example of how to do this. Right? How to encourage people to collaborate. Now, I don't know if it's the best example on saying how not for people to go jack your art, because as much as that pisses me off, as much as everyone, it's like, this has been happening forever. In jazz, it was like, in jazz music, it was like supposed to be flattering when people like played your song at their show or whatever. Now, obviously, it's way different, and people make, you know, they pull these rugs and walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars and nobody can find them. But outside of that depressing shit, you know, where I am, and I don't mean that to be dissensitive to people. I'm just pissed off at the people that steal, not at you for getting stolen. You know, I had this great experience yesterday. I was I kind of stumbled upon this room, and, you know, as I've shared on this show a couple times, like, I'm definitely getting my feet wet in this space, just learning as much as I can all the time. I mean, that'll continue even when we've been here when this is our 1000th episode, we'll still be learning. But right now, I'm still just blown away by this community, and I think that could happen too. In the inspiration, I was in a room with Funky Flies, really, honestly, a pretty awesome collection, and just I kind of stumbled into their community, but then just stuck around for hours with these guys as they were just pumping this mint NFT until they completely minted out. They had all these amazing supporters in there, giving away apes, giving away all sorts of NFTs. People were coming up on the stage in the space, like singing and playing their guitar just to like vibe out in the room. The community, like it was so touching for some of the people in the community that they were like crying and like struggling to hold it together, you know, and it just like, it felt so real in this room. And it was like collectors and whales and just everyone alike in there being like, you know, we're here to change people's lives, you know, and to me, it felt really motivating as an artist because, you know, it was really easy to fall into that space, and I was only one of a couple hundred people, to be honest. And for me, especially as a newer artist in the space, I didn't think you could get in an audience like that at that size. I thought, oh, like, you know, you're gonna have to go join a Discord with like 500,000 people in it and fight your way through, or a space with like 1,500, 2,000 people in there. But, you know, how accessible this community is what I believe will drive that collaboration. You know, like, I really do believe that. I think the accessibility and these whales honestly coming in and just saying, you know what, we're not even here to make money. We're just here to bring people into these communities and foster these artists that are amazing and should be creating all the time. We're just going to give away $400,000 worth of artwork over the next couple hours because, like, you know what, that's what it's about. You know, we're here to do this together. And, you know, I don't know that stops people from stealing, but I do think it encourages the artists to come together, to make something great, to band together and stick up for themselves. And in a way that, like, I just haven't seen done a lot in art personally with my experience, you know?
Right. Yeah, man. You just talking about that. I know we've dealt with music industry for a long time. No, there's never been a fan club like that, right? Like,
no, that's like, hey, you're dope and I like what you're doing, so like I'm gonna do this thing, you know?
That could change your life.
That could change your life, dude.
Right. And again, maybe even get you more into the art and, you know, the culture of like collaborating, sharing like this and giving back. And, you know, that this is a possibility in this world, that art is of value and it's of value to the culture. And, you know, I think that's dope. It's exactly what you said. It's when you look at the artists that we've grown up around or we've been around, they just haven't seen that side being executed like that. Right. And it takes time to like understand, well, how does a Discord work, right? How does a giveaway work? Why are these communities come together? But you take a little bit of time and you go look at that, right? And then you from your experience, you saw how powerful that was, right? And you're just like, wow, like a lot of artists should be doing it like this.
You know, and it felt good to be in a place where I was not motivated by money as an artist, dude. Like, I saw what these people were doing, and I was like, dude, I want to do this even more now. And it wasn't from I'm being honest, it wasn't from a place of like, ooh, maybe I'll attract this guy to come look at my stuff. It was from a place of like, wow, this is happening out here, and it just makes me want to it makes me want to be better. It makes me want to create every day. It makes me want to come here on this show with you, Karthik, and like just talk about what we're learning and, you know, build a community of like-minded people, you know? And
right.
Yeah, I just think it's special.
It's so, yeah, and it's so important you share those stories because, like you said, to you only hear like, what is this JPEG that's $200,000, and you're trying to conceive. Only when you go into these Discord, you start understanding the culture behind it. Do you really start understanding like, wait a second, like this is what's going on. This is what's actually bringing the value to all these things. And if you don't share stories like that, people will never know like why that's occurring. And we have to share stories like that. So one, artists understand that, but fans understand that, and the people understand like, wow, this is, like I said, this is an actual movement going on, like an artistic movement.
I know, and it was so funny that all these guys in this room that were doing all these amazing things, and ladies, all the men and women, honestly, were all in the ape. They're all apes, you know, like they're all in the ape family. And like literally, like just a few days ago, I was in some room where someone was just talking mad shit about apes, right? It's like, what does it even do? Like, you know, it's not like some party that I can get into, right? And it's not like this and that. And I'm like, and I was like, at the time, I was like, you know, I haven't necessarily seen it firsthand, but I assume it's a pretty dope community. Now I'm starting to see this community and how they interact, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, like on the news, you see, oh, this thing for millions of dollars, this collection's worth this and that. What's the big deal? And then you go into these rooms, and you're like, this is love, dude. Like these guys
Right.
like really love spending time together. They love checking in with each other. It's a community. It's not just, a piece of art. And it's always been like that. I'm going to be real. Like when you liked your favorite band, it was never just, oh, I love our band, right? It was like at this one show, it was like, I love them. I want to keep in touch with them. Web 2 popping off. I want to be on their MySpace. I want to follow their Facebook. I want to talk to them. Then now Web 3, I want to hang out with them in the metaverse. I want to like join their Discords. I want to go into their Twitter space. And as artists, we have to step our game up. I really do believe that. And be available for our fans like this, and go out and, like you said, learn this new form if you're not in it, and if you're in it, keep hustling, because your fans want it, and your fans exist. I want to say that to every artist out there, whether you know it or not, they exist, and they will support you when you give them the opportunity. This right here, our NFT Art Talk being a great example of that. Like, we just believe that we're doing something special, and we really appreciate everyone that's a part of this right now and is going to be a part of it as we grow, because this is, and it's being inspired by these great people who exist in the community today, honestly, because we believe that we're taking part in something really special. I know I'm talking a lot, but I got to share one more thing because it was really special to me. So while I'm here in this vibe, I want to talk about it. Yesterday, our homie Mofos hosted a space. It was a small space, just a couple of us chilling, doing our thing. And Lit Creations came in. Really fucking cool guy, muralist, NFT artist, rapper, musician, all sorts of stuff. I'm talking about my music. I play him a track in the space. All of a sudden, Lit starts playing another track, and then just starts flowing over the track. And honestly, I was like, look, now you can see my smile. In the space, you couldn't see my smile, but here I was so motivated by that moment, right? And just because people were taking the time to interact and engage with you. And it wasn't only because he was rapping over this track that I had put a lot of time and effort into, and it obviously connected with him enough that it inspired him to rap. It wasn't just that. It was that he was entertaining all of us chilling in there at like midnight or whatever time it was, with his art live. And it wasn't even about exchanging or trading. It was just about participating in the community with us. And I'll make sure that I tag him down in the descriptions after we get off live, so anybody can go check him out. But honestly, and I'll tag some of these apes that I was really inspired by in the other community, as well as some of the Funky Fly stuff. We'll make sure we get all that in the descriptions after we go live. But I was so inspired by Lit Creations doing that and entertaining us the way that he was, and being just an all-around dope-ass dude, bringing people into the space, movers and shakers, all sorts of different people. And, I gave him a track, dude. I was like, hey, I got this unreleased music. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to delete it off of my hard drive, so it's yours now. And you can do whatever you want with it, And I did. I sent it to him. I didn't have it attached to the blockchain yet, but now we're learning how to do that. So next time, hopefully it'll be on the blockchain. I think I just DM'd him a link to like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or something so he could download it and have it forever. But it's his track now. And honestly, it was just a beautiful moment. And, I'm really excited to start doing giveaways like that, including the one we mentioned earlier. But, for people to come in to these places with us and spaces and just be there to participate and have fun is literally what I'm out here living for. So I'm having fun doing this with my boy Karthik every day. I hope people are having fun listening. I'm going to use that to wrap up myself. I'm going to pass the mic to Karthik for some for some closing words. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, watching this after it's live, being a part of all of our spaces and everything we're doing. Thank you guys so much. We'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. But Karthik?
Yeah, thanks for listening to us and joining us. I'll just leave it on one thing. Keep on investigating about giveaways and bundling your digital assets together and how you're going to give that back to the community. And I think those are the new ways you're going to be able to get engaged with your community even further as an artist than you never thought before, really. Kind of the ways that I mostly explained it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I don't doubt that in the near future we'll have a whole episode on giveaways, especially as we start to do more and learn more about them. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, smash that little bell and get notifications for when we're live. Follow us on Twitter, shoot us a DM, keep in touch. Let us know if you want to join us on the show. We're absolutely all about getting some other artists up here to talk about what they're doing and what's interesting them. And don't forget, the first 10 people that subscribe starting from this video that also get us their Twitter handle will get a free track from one of us. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.